Strange Minds 6. I'm your host, Ruby, and today we're going to be getting back into the Octunnumi. So, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you haven't already, and without further ado, grab a snack, grab a drink, or sit back and relax, and let's get to The Octunnumi by Trevor Allen Forrest. What is he doing here? The heated conversation of the counselors ripples to a standstill as one by one they acknowledge the presence of the Prince Regent, entering the vaults followed by Theos and a flushed Smythe. Standing, Margarine and the boys give a respectful nod as he passes. Phoebe waves enthusiastically from her pocket until Trad pushes her down. Who has allowed this? This is too much. Prowling behind the counselors perched on their chairs, the Prince Regent quietly enjoys the unease of the room and the unwillingness to make eye contact with the ebony panther as he passes. Always such a warm welcome. The smooth, silky tone of his voice, more visual than auditory. The words seeming to appear hanging, drifting, then dissolving, as his thoughts are projected around the room and into minds. As if we didn't have enough to deal with, a counselor complains. Oh, please. He turns, his words taking on a stern imagery, glaring at the troll responsible for the complaint. He continues, when you, mithering wingers, have quite finished, the room quiets as he takes his seat, which transforms as he does so into an exaggerated, ostentatious gold leaf, elaborately carved throne, the padded seat and backrest a deep buttoned luxury. Typical, someone mutters, as the Prince Regent and the most feared of beings. No one had suggested that perhaps he would like to take advantage of the anonymity offered in the vaults. There never seemed to be any point. Who would dare challenge him anyway? Well, he waits patiently as everyone slowly returns to their seats. Better. His words appearing above his head, seemingly purr. How is it that he is here? A voice from his right mutters. And where would you have me? He inquires, licking his paw, as letters float above him, forming and vanishing. I would have thought you, of all, were most likely to be behind this, another pipes up. Nothing but trouble when a black cat appears. The voice falters and trails off as the cat stops mid-paw lick, flicking his deep green eyes at the perpetrator of the comment. He raises his head. My, I see nothing has changed. Then, looking at the faces around the room, clearly so, he jumps on the table and slowly prowls its perimeter, his words following him, each troll leaning away as he passes. Still the myth stands, does it? Black cats are bad luck, are they? Them and their witches Nothing but trouble, is muttered from behind him. Slowly turning his head, the Black Panther's eyes spot the culprit, who quickly looks away. Resuming his stroll around the table, the Prince Regent, tail flicking with annoyance, continues. I would have thought that a room such as this would be more agreeable, more willing to accept that there are two sides to every story. Stopping at the troll, who had complained at his arrival, he tells him, You forget, I can see you. Each letter becoming an eye before blinking itself gone. Try as he might, the troll cannot look away. I know who you are. The strain on the troll's face is evident as he struggles to break eye contact. Beads of sweat form on his brow. All of you. The Prince Regent releases his hold on the troll, his words left quite literally hanging in the air, and swings around to look at the rest of the gathering as, slumping back, the troll gasps and wipes his brow, while everyone else quickly averts their gaze. Of course, he continues as he walks, I can hardly blame you. You are, of course, ignorant. How dare you? A voice rises, then peters to nothing. To the truth. The words slam into the air as he continues, pausing long enough to identify the speaker. You do not know my purpose, he sighs, but let me assure you of this. I am not the one to be feared here. Huh? Huh. A snort goes up from the far side of the table. You may not have noticed, the troll says, but we are here. All of us. We are all on the same side. You? The Prince Regent smiles. Maybe. Them. A backward nod. Not so much. Fear grips the room as whispers of the hags, crones, and she-devils involuntarily escape the lips of the trolls around the table. Surveying the room, Francine, Cetrice, and Elonabeth smile sweetly as Prince Regent returns to his throne and waits for his sisters to morph from their respective accessory forms, while revealing in the deathly silence of the counselors, his sisters, now fully feline, join him. With unblinking stares, wait for the seats either side of him to be vacant. I thought that you might quiet you. He smirks, the words laughing across the table. Since when? A troll demands, glaring to the Bewitchers. Have they been part of our alliance? We are the alliance, you stupid man, Francine snaps. Sister, Cetrice lightly touches her arm. I told you, this was not the way, Elonabeth mutters. This is the only way. Cetrice smiles at her sisters. No one agreed to them being here, another troll calls out, the comment generating a chorus of agreement. Tutting in the time with the slight shake of her head, Francine begins to stroll around the table while Elonabeth takes the other side. Every one of you in this room, Alonabeth says, has at one time had a reason to be at our door. And, Francine picks up, we understand. The smiles sweetly as her fingers play along the backs of the chairs, causing each occupant to flinch and draw away. Your reluctance to engage with us, she says as she eyes the cat with disdain. We are also aware, Cetrice says, thanking Trad for offering her his seat, that you feel we have been unjust in our dealings with you. Unjust? Downright deceitful, more like, a voice calls. Really? Francine sighs, pausing for a moment. Even after all this time, you still do not see. She shakes her head and resumes walking. You people really need to learn the art of introspection. Despite, Alonabeth continues, your feelings of dissatisfaction with our service. Service? You did nothing but take our money, a voice butts in, followed by a muttering of similar complaints rippling around the table. Alonabeth snaps. If it were not for our intervention, comes a sharp retort, telling me to go away and take a solution is on the horizon is not intervention. Stopping to study the speaker, she smiles. Yes, I recall our last meeting. You don't know who I am, he sneers. I'm anonymous. You don't know who I am. Is that so? You think it's only the cat who can see past these ridiculous disguises? Fear flutters around the faces of the trolls. Oh, do relax. She smirks. Disclosing your identity is not my concern, she pauses. Today. You cursed our village, the troll retorts. We saved your village, Cetrice comments. You said great things were coming, and giants came. Yes, she chuckles. They did. What else would have faced the dragons? She asks. The unresponsive faces. Have you considered the alternative? They ate our crops, he replies, ignoring her point. So now giants are not allowed a meal in return for their service? We barely survived, he snaps. I hardly think, she says, turning abruptly to look at him. That is an accurate account of the incident. Drake and his friends were meticulous in their calculation. You had plenty of food. But, he tries to continue, did the dragons come back? She asks. No, but exactly, she smiles. Problem solved. The same can be said for the rest of you, Alonabeth cuts in. You came to us asking for our help, and we gave you what you asked for. You took our gold. You gave your gold willingly, Cetrice comments. Your observations with the metal, which, by your own admission, served no purpose to your people other than, and I quote, it's so shiny, was going to be the end of you. Your constant mining of the stuff covered your land meant for growing food. Instead, you rendered it unworkable. You lost sight of what was important, and sometimes, to gain something, you have to let something go. Huh. And you got to gain a whole load of gold, the disgruntled counselor mutters. That was your goal, a troll exclaims. Directly across from him, suddenly making the connection. You were the gods of the yellow meadow and the penny drops, Francine states. You took our gold. We left food, he breaks in, as an offering for the gold, just as we were told. But a traveler, a stranger, by a traveling? Yes, Francine cuts in, becoming bored with the conversation, toing and froing across the table. You both met a lonely old lady. Give gold to the gods, she said. Give crops for the gold, she said. And a trade deal is born. She smiles. You are welcome, by the way. Trad butts in. Sorry, but just putting it out there, why didn't you just introduce them? Darling Trad, Francine sighs, fondly giving him her full attention, as he quickly looks away, noting that he seems to be the only one seeing her in her less than lovely light. Really, he says to his neighbor. You are not seeing this? With no response, Trad mumbles, just me then, and looks at his feet. As I said, Trad, this was a very long time ago, when relations were, shall we say, she hesitates, frayed. These two, Alonabeth comments, although allies now, were at one time less than pally. I demand to know who we are giving our gold to, the counselor shouts as he stands leaning in over the table and slamming his fist down. And I demand to know who took our crops. His counterpart mirrors his action. To what end? Cetrice asks. You both had the desired outcome. But he is not a god, one says, pointing. And nor are you, says the other. Faith is faith, no matter what form it takes, Cetrice states. Let us not dwell, Francine continues, gesturing to both trolls to sit. When they do not move, she sends an energy bolt to wrap around their knees, bringing them down abruptly. There. It was a different time, of course. Now we are much more civilized people. She pauses for a moment. There was a time when there was an endless stream to our door. Smiling at the memory, she continues. And then it all got out of hand with your ridiculous questions and requests. I would ask each of you, she readdresses the table, to think very carefully about our meetings, and you would all do well to reconsider the events that followed before apportioning blame. And with those who only came looking for ill will to others, Alonabeth continues, well, perhaps now you understand how it works. Our purpose is always, she smiles, to serve the greater good. Be careful what you wished for. A counselor immediately in front of Elonabeth mumbles, not lifting his gaze from the table, for your wish will visit you tenfold. She smiles and pats him gently on the shoulder. So why now? Why tell us this now? Calls another. You think you can deal with this threat on your own, Francine laughs. I thought your kind didn't take sides, he responds. Our work is for the greater good. For the greater good of whom? Who is people, please? Margarine interrupts, calling the meeting to order. For the sake of the continued success of the alliance, the Bewitchers can no longer play an unrecognized role. Times have changed. It is not necessary for the Bewitchers to continue to work without acknowledgement. She looks at the scowling faces. We need their input, she finishes. A subdued air fills the room as they contemplate her words. Well, the panther's words bounce brightly across the table. Now that we are all friends. As for you, Cat, Francine spits, I do not need comment from the likes of you. Oh my, I'm offended, he replies in a mock horror. But I thought since we were all unburdening ourselves, perhaps our friends here, he glances around the room. For we all are friends, are we not? Here in this room, He purrs softly as he strolls along the table, his words dancing ahead of him. As friends, you should know something. Cat! Francine cuts in. You see, the Prince Regent continues as he heads towards Margarine. You have all been fed a myth. A lie, isn't that right, ladies? The two ladies have joined together behind Citrice as the panther sits, his tail curling around his legs, the tip flicking slightly as he bats words across the table. Far from being feared, we, he says, giving a backward glance to his sisters. The black cat, the bringers of doom, the ooze stretching out like bunting. We are in fact your saviors. Don't be ridiculous, a troll protests. You and those, he gestures the girls and continues, are one and the same. Always have been. Bad luck, the lot of you. Now that, he smiles, flicking his claws free on his raised paws, is where you are wrong, he declares as he swipes at the letters still strung through the air, sending them scattering to the floor. Isn't that right, ladies? Would you care to explain? I would be happy as any one of the beings at this table to see the back of you, Francine snaps. That would be a no then. Well, fine, colorful friends, he muses, lifting a flower garland, then discarding as he starts to walk to the table again. Were it not for the presence of the humble cat, your newfound pals, here would be of little use. Isn't that right, ladies? We are a constant reminder of your weakness, are we not? Something you may have gathered. brings considerable irritation. Isn't that so, ladies? His words grin back at them. You are not here by my invitation, Francine huffs. His words sigh across the air. And yet, for all your bewitching powers, you cannot protect yourselves, can you? But we can and do. And now that we have established just how important our bewitcher friends are to you all, he scans the room. I am sure you will agree our role is worthy of some note. He pauses. Black cats protect. Black cats are the reason you can all sleep at night. After all, no bewitcher, anything really. The word anything drifts down and forms on the table before melting away. Wait, so you... a cat? Smythe pipes up, unexpectedly. Smith. Theos mutters. A cat, Smythe continues, is the one keeping the peace? Cats, my dear boy, cats. He glances affectionately at Smythe. I am good, but I am not that good. I cannot be everywhere watching all of them. All cats? Smythe asks, not quite sure he understands. Of course not. The words roll and tumble. That would be stupid. All cats? No. We are all, of course, on our own missions throughout the Insomniacs. However, it just so happens that the purpose of the black cat is to protect. He pauses. Lucky us. The words form unconvincingly around him, then pop and are gone. Oh, the irony. Was a time people listened, took heed of our teachings, admired us. He shakes his head. But you see, our friends here, he gestures, the girls, are here to serve, and I understand. I really do. He smiles. The workload became intense, the request verging on the ludicrous, so, he gestures, it hardly became a surprise when they capitalized on the fey tales, because you do know they were only tales, Made up, not true, lies. Well, all fine and dandy, except we, as their protectors, are all tarred, metaphorically speaking, with the same brush, and I might have you know, on one occasion, for real. He shudders, the last of his words falling as feathers. That's mean, Smythe whispers. Do you hear that, ladies? The words smirk as they float away. Mean. It is only the insightful who can see past the myth. He winks at Smith, who suddenly looks slightly panicked. You see, we, black cats, are the only thing between you and certain death. The final word, large, menacing, solid. Cat, Francine warns. Oh, all right. He swats the word down, keeping his paw on it until it disperses. But it would be nice to have some credit for our work, and cats sort of make sure things run smoothly. He reads as the sentence appears before him. Is hardly heroic now, is it? None of these ramblings tell us why we are expected to take the word of a witch. Swinging his head to make eye-to-eye contact with the counselor who spoke, the Prince Regent purrs. Don't you mean bewitcher? Yes, Yes, he stammers. Isn't that what I said? The panther smiles, playfully scattering the letters with his paw. And that, my dear friends, is the end of this chapter. Please gather next time to hear what they're gonna say. And please hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. And until then, this has been Ruby, signing off.